Whether it's the iconic theme from Super Mario Bros. Or the epic Angels of Death from the Dawn of War 2 soundtrack, music plays an incredibly important role in any video game. In fact, voice lines, sound effects, and music from many video games are so amazing that many popular artists have gone to great lengths to incorporate these elements into their own songs. So just how common is it for musicians and bands to sample video game audio? Let's find out more by looking at some of the most popular songs that sample sounds from some of the most memorable video games. Here we go. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with the legendary RPG Chrono Trigger from 1995, and even if you aren't, well, you've heard of it now. As it so happens, the soundtrack was scored mainly by Yasunori Mitsuda, but it also features some contributions from the iconic Nobuo Uematsu of Final Fantasy fame, as well as one track by Noriko Matsueda. Anyway, Sharla's theme by Yasunori Mitsuda has a very distinct melody that loops throughout the song, and I have to say, it's really evocative and a downright banger. And I'm obviously not the only one who feels this way. In fact, Wiz Khalifa likes the track so much that he decided to sample its melody in his song entitled Never Been from his 2010 mixtape Cushion Orange Juice. The tempo in Wiz's song is definitely a tad less upbeat, and I'm pretty sure the key is also different, so my assumption is that he sampled part of Sharla's theme and slowed it down. It changes the vibe for sure, making it sound a lot darker and more serious, and while it's a pretty sick track, I admittedly have to say I'm a big fan of Mitsuda's original. No offense, Wiz. While video game music is undeniably great, even certain sound effects are universally recognized. Street Fighter II was released by Capcom in 1991, and Yoko Shimomura and Isao Abe were the two individuals responsible for creating the game's SFX. This included many of the exclamations from the announcer such as "You win, you lose," and of course, "Perfect."
You win. Perfect.
From the looks of things, the extremely controversial and often totally bizarre Kanye West decided to sample a couple of voice lines from Street Fighter II in his track Facts off his 2016 album The Life of Pablo. You can actually hear the perfect voice line around the 26-second mark, as well as the announcer saying "you" at 33 seconds.
Perfect.
Yeezy, 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 just jumped over, Jumpman. Yeezy, 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 just jumped over, Jumpman.
But that's not all. At 154, you hear Sonic Boom, and finally at 234, you hear Yoga Flame.
Yeezy, 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 just jumped over, Jumpman. James Harden, Swaggy P, running up the budget. Keep the work.
Color me crazy, but I'm starting to think Yeezy may just be a big Street Fighter fan. Wonder what he thinks about Cammy's, personality. Aw man, now I've got this image of Kanye dressed as M. Bison in my head. That seems like something he would totally do. It's no secret that Mario is the most iconic video game character of all time, and there's no denying that the Super Mario Bros. Theme is the video game song of video game songs. Originally written by Koji Kondo in 1985, I don't think there's a single gamer who isn't familiar with this incredibly unique and expertly composed video game theme. It therefore comes as no surprise that this theme has been sampled in several songs over the years, and one such hip-hop artist by the name of Saigon decided to sample the Super Mario Bros. Theme virtually in its entirety, as well as many of the sound effects from the game in his 2010 song Get Busy that appears on the album The Greatest Story Never Told.
I used to walk uptown to see Mario. That nigga sold more blow than a young Harriet. From Punta Cana to Ghana to Ontario. He made it snow all over the whole barrier.
The video also features shots of people playing the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES. I'd say this particular track is more of a tribute to Nintendo and classic gaming than anything else, and there's no denying that the song's got a sick swing to it. And of the songs we've checked out so far in this video, I think this one's my personal favorite. But let's see what other songs are out there. Now, if there's one gaming franchise that's known for its hauntingly beautiful and sometimes downright terrifying soundtrack, it's Silent Hill. With most of the music having been composed by the one and only Akira Yamaoka, who happens to be one of my favorite video game artists of all time, many people remember Silent Hill more for its singularly unique score than its shuffling monsters and beleaguered protagonists. One such track that you've probably heard in plenty of YouTube shorts, some of our own included, is Never Forgive Me, Never Forget Me from Silent Hill 3, which came out in May 2003. It's probably one of the most ethereal and hard-hitting pieces of music Akira ever composed, and seeing just how beautifully creepy it is, Xavier decided to sample part of the song and use it as a loop in his track Thunderman that appears on his 2014 album Blood Shore Season 2.
Oh shit, here we go again. Here they go again. Talking shit about a real man. Let me ask you this. How many of you little niggas got your own shit, bitch? Me and all my niggas got our own damn crib, bitch.
Much like Saigon's Get Busy, this is another hip-hop song, but instead of being upbeat and playful, this one's a little more on the darker end of the spectrum. I didn't even know this was a thing until researching this, but it's awesome to see Akira's work being used in a rap song. It may be a little old now, but the Nintendo GameCube, which came out all the way back in 2001, is well remembered for its entirely distinct startup logo theme that was originally composed by Toru Minegishi. Needless to say, it's been the subject of countless memes since the theme is paired with an animation of the GameCube logo forming. It's actually a really clever piece of work and something that has persisted across the ages. Never being one to turn down an opportunity or flaunt her eccentric nature, Doja Cat decided to sample the startup logo theme in a 2018 song that was released on SoundCloud called Nintendo. Just for the record, I do not endorse this term, and you may not use it to describe game enthusiasts of the female persuasion, tips Fedora. Oh yeah, and maybe I'm mishearing, but I'm sure the fight that you hear towards the beginning of the song is from Mortal Kombat.
Bitch wanna roast me? Cause I got an Xbox One. I don't even have no games. All they play a GTA.
Doja makes a bunch of references to games throughout Nintendo, mentioning Minecraft, Animal Crossing, and even hates on Fortnite a little bit. Looking at some YouTube comments, it seems some people want nothing more than for this to become the gamer girl anthem. What do you think? Be sure to tell us in the comments. With all this focus on Nintendo, let's turn our attention towards The Legend of Zelda. The latest entry in the franchise, Tears of the Kingdom, was released for the Nintendo Switch earlier this year, but Zelda has been around since the 80s, so there's been plenty of games that have launched over the past few decades. But with many games come many songs, and one song that virtually every Zelda fan knows is the overworld theme that was created in 1986 as part of the original The Legend of Zelda. And guess what? This one was also composed by Koji Kondo. What can I say? The man's an absolute legend in the gaming world. Seeing as the original version of the song is an 8-bit digital arrangement, it makes perfect sense that Deadmau5 decided to use the theme, more or less in its original form, for the intro of his song Sophie Needs a Ladder that appears on his 2010 album 4x4 = 12. Okay, now I don't think this is actually on the album, but I've seen people post links to an instrumental version of it called You Need a Ladder, but then there's also a live version of Deadmau5 performing Sophie Needs a Ladder with the overworld theme from The Legend of Zelda being used to start the song. It's a tad confusing, but it does look like it's an actual thing, and from what I've seen, many prefer the version with the Zelda intro and instruments only to the official one, and I have to admit, I think I prefer it too. What Mario is to Nintendo, Sonic is to Sega, and since the first Sonic the Hedgehog came out in 1991, a bunch of video games, TV series, and even some feature-length films have been released. And as all of you know far too well, the more epic the franchise, the more epic the music has to be. And does it get any more epic than His World theme of Sonic from 2006's Sonic the Hedgehog? Composed by Tomoyo Otani and performed by Ali Tabatabaei and Maddie Lewis from the punk rock band Zebrahead, the song is an upbeat piece that truly harps up and honors everyone's favorite sneaker-wearing, chili dog-eating hedgehog. Clearly enjoying Otani's instrumentals, Drake decided to sample and significantly slow down His World and use it in his track entitled KMT, which is an acronym for Kiss My Teeth, that appears on his 2017 album More Life. The track features gigs, and if you aren't familiar with His World and listen very closely, you could easily miss this sample despite the fact that it features throughout KMT. Since the track's release on YouTube in May 2018, the song has received close to 7 million plays.
Okay, demon just got out of can. I gave my bro an advance. Love is just not in my plans. Not even taking a chance. Studio right in my yacht. I'm doing 10 in a week. How long I been on the street? Dream about work in my sleep.
I'm not sure if Drake is a Sonic fan, but then again, who isn't a Sonic fan? It may not be quite as memorable or iconic as Green Hill Zone that was composed by Masato Nakamura and released in 1991, but His World is a pretty banger track by any stretch of the imagination. And last but not least on our list, we stick with Sega but cast our eyes and ears over to Golden Axe. This side-scrolling beat-em-up game gave rise to some seriously awesome music, and one of the more memorable pieces is Theme of Thief, which was composed by Toru Nakabayashi and Y Dolphin Takada and appeared in Golden Axe from 1989. Believe it or not, this digital ditty was sampled by Jay-Z and used on a track that features DMX entitled Money Cash Hoes, which appears on his 1998 album Volume 2, Hard Knock Life.
Drive by and whips rock with my break day on the hottest block with my just cause I love my chill with the crew.
This is undeniably one of the more inventive uses of a sample in a song, and it really does give it a feel and melody all its own. Since it came out on YouTube at the end of October 2010, the track has received 7.7 million plays. That's seriously insane. Sadly, I don't think too many people know about Golden Axe, but if you were one of them about a minute ago, you aren't anymore. Sampling video game audio may be more common than one might think, but there's no doubt it's helped to shape an entire generation of people in one way or another. So here ends our list of popular artists that used music and sound effects from games in their own tracks. Which track that we featured is your favorite? Or is there another song that samples video game audio that you prefer? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily gaming, VR and tech content. From me and the crew, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!